Welcome viewers. This is Media Track, the weekly program that looks at the big news stories of the past week. I am Devika Sequeira and with me is my colleague
Ashley Rosario.
This is episode number 43 and as usual, we have to sort of focus on the biggest story still playing out, and that obviously is the growing number of cases in Goa. And as Ashley and I were just discussing before the program, Ashley, the numbers have now shot up to 417, you were telling me, 417 as of Thursday. The way the thing is going, it seems like we are going to touch the 500 mark very soon, which is extremely worrying for Goa, which was, if I recall, on 13th of May, had come back to zero number of cases. And from the time the trains opened up and the traffic opened up, literally between the states, the numbers have just been going up, and now we are at the cluster zones literally. So actually, will you give us a bit of a heads up what is actually happening right now?
Basically, as you said, Devika, with the trains opening up, with the flights coming in, and people coming in from all over, the numbers are shooting up. On an average, we are having 30 cases every day for the last 4-5 days. The biggest scare, obviously, we discussed it at the last episode, was Mangur Hill.
Yes. Now that scare, as you know, as of Thursday, has now shifted to Shimbel. Because they found one positive case there,
No,
right?
they found three positive cases. Family of three. Apparently, the head of the family was a security guard at the Urban Health Center in Vasco.
Yes.
So he contracted it there.
Yeah.
He came home and gave it to his family.
Yeah, actually, to give the viewers a little bit of background, Shimbel is also a very sort of densely populated area where you have a lot of settlers from outside of Goa. And also another very worrying factor, the mayor of Panjim was talking yesterday, is the fact that a lot of people who work in the market, in the Panjim market, live in Shimbel. And so out of this great fear, they just shut down the market.
Devika, it's not a recent phenomenon. Shimbel has been this ghetto, or rather this slum. It's supposed to be the largest slum in Goa, which started off in the 80s with Indira Gandhi's 20-point program, housing program there. So you have this big slum in Shimbel, and God forbid if cases are found in that slum, then it's going to spread like wildfire. And it has an overlying factor over Panjim, basically because a lot of people from Shimbel do service Panjim in different sectors. Including maids in homes in Panjim.
That is true.
Come from Shimbel, a lot of them. So the threat of it moving from Shimbel to Panjim is very, very real. Okay. Now, yesterday they had a family of 3 from Shimbel testing positive. Today, from my sources, I know 6 more positive cases have come up from Shimbel with their contact tracing testing that they did.
Yeah, that's true. And yet, Ashley, I hear from you that the government has not declared Shimbel a containment zone as it did with Mangur Hill. Now, there is obviously a bit of a.
I thought the government would learn its lessons from Mangur. Okay. Even in Mangur, they declared Mangur a containment zone 2 days later. 2 days after that first family was tested in Mangur. So from that lesson, I thought yesterday when the first case from Shimbel came up, they would contain Shimbel. They would declare Shimbel as a containment zone, because I don't think it's a big problem for the government to do that, because it's a slum. At least, if not the entire village panchayat of Shimbel, at least that Indranagar slum or the place where these cases have been found should have been contained yesterday itself.
Actually, now the thing is that, when the numbers have got this huge spike, the government has stopped testing people who are coming in, and they are saying that people will go into some self quarantine and the punchers, and but what this has triggered is complete panic. And from what I read from the papers today, village after village is going into the self-preservation mode, and shutting down literally. They're saying we can't rely on the government, we need to save ourselves. That's what the villagers are saying. And I'm looking at the Navin Times, which is talking about lockdown in Palien, lockdown in Vasco. Vasco is all the shops shut down, obviously, and on all the villages right down to Kankon, sort of saying we don't want people from outside to come in. But now the virus seems to be literally spreading all over.
This is what the health secretary said yesterday. The worrisome part is that health workers, I think almost more than a dozen health workers from Vasco, and both from the urban health center as well as those posted in the containment zone, tested positive. Okay, and they are the people who are supposed to have spread it all over Goa. Okay, so obviously it is a slip on the part of the government or the health ministry. I mean, that health workers got infected in itself. It puts a huge question mark of whether they are following the protocols of safeguards for health workers, for doctors, whether
true, but PPE, isn't this the government's responsibility now to take care of its own workers and putting them at risk? It's not as if they are putting us at risk or we are putting. It's the government's duty, and this is where where people are sort of beginning to question the way the government is handling it. Now look at the headline in the Herald says clueless authorities in a tizzy, and this is about a COVID-19 patient who just went missing. I mean, the story is almost hilarious in a way. I don't know the facts of it, but maybe you can explain to us what exactly happened.
Devika, it's a bit hazy in the sense that this guy who tested positive yesterday or day before yesterday night, I'm told, is apparently somebody who came from Delhi or from outside the state. If that was the case, then the government should have not let him go until his test result came.
That's true.
The fact that he was, serving people in a bar in the heart of the Panjim market before his test result came is something that needs to be investigated.
But isn't that a peculiar story in the sense that he arrived in Goa just 2 days ago, and then the very next day he is found working in a bar? How is that possible?
That's the question that I'm raising. I mean, how could he even get out of anywhere without his COVID test results coming in?
Exactly. And how does the government accept such an address? The address is, I mean, what one reads from the papers, the address he gave is care of Daniel Bar. Now you're saying it's not even Daniel Bar, it's Dani Bar. Dani Bar. And so the government is saying that they went looking for this bar in the market and they couldn't even find it. It doesn't even exist. So where is this man gone? And the other story is, of course, that his own family had filed a missing report for him in Delhi. On June 2. So who exactly is this mystery person, and how long is it going to take the Goa government to trace him down?
A similar incident happened in Mangor, where somebody, after he got the SMS that he has tested positive, disappeared with his family, but was traced in Bagalkot, I'm told. But Devika, I think the government, I said it at the last episode, I think the government needs to change tact. It needs to change tact from this thing of, trying to chase people or trying to block people, because transmission has happened across a wider area in Goa. You have cases in Mole, in Satari, you have a case in Dharbandwara, you have a case now in Chimbel. So it's just geographically across the state. So you cannot be, chasing those positive cases and stuff like that, but you need to put a wider public health plan in place specific to COVID.
But you know, Ashley, from what one sees from reading in the various papers, some of the success stories they say are from Kerala, which has done a very good job of testing and contact tracing. Same thing with Punjab, which has also done a good job, and it also comes from the fact that both these states have strong leaders. You have Amarinder Singh in Punjab, and then you have the Chief Minister of Kerala is
Vijayan.
also Vijayan is also a strong personality, a good leader. Now here in Goa, I am still very confused. Who is leading the fight against this coronavirus crisis? It is not the health minister. It is not the chief minister, from what I can see, who's been doing so many flip-flops in the SOPs.
Devika, basically, it's the state infrastructure that handles any situation.
Yeah.
The problem is leadership.
Yes.
The problem is leadership. Whether the leadership has the administration in its grip or not.
Yes.
Which I think the current government is a bit lacking in that sense. Unlike, when Parrikar was in the saddle.
Yeah.
Parrikar was a politician who had the administration in his grip.
Yes.
This, I think, has come too early in Savan's innings, this pandemic and this whole challenge of handling the pandemic, and that's the missing link there.
Yes, that's true. Finally, a crisis is what tests a leader's ability to lead and to protect the interests of the people who are under him. But when you have the people saying they have no faith in this government, they have no confidence in the way the government is handling it, and virtually sarpanchas are taking over and putting in place their own SOPs in their panchayats.
Now it's pressure from the public, basically.
Exactly. So the public is feeling extremely sort of done in, and they're feeling uncomfortable. They're not feeling safe. Obviously. So to move to another story, Ashley, I was looking at this. There was this case of the activists file police complaint into illegal registration of construction workers. Now you had the Goa Forward Party, which alleged that the government of Goa had set up this sort of fund to
help these labor people.
It was building and other construction workers relief fund, and they were supposed to give a dole of 6,000 to these
6,000 a month to these laborers who have lost work. Because of the
was
pandemic.
it 6,000 a month, or was it just a kind of one-time relief
I
package?
think it was a 6,000 for a month, I think.
Yes, I know. And that money has, according to the Goa Forward, they filed a petition before the Lokayukta, and the petition says that this money has virtually been siphoned off, and it's gone into the hands of sarpanches, and a list has been drawn up which has names of people who have nothing to do with construction work. They are just
but Devika, in every government transaction there is an element of siphoning off of funds. This has followed that same process.
Yeah, but this is quite brazen, isn't it? Because this is at a time when people are really desperately in need of money, and obviously these are migrant laborers, most of them, who have been left virtually high and dry. And I did go through that list, Ashley, and the names there were like, there would be 5-6 names from one family, and they had nothing to do with construction, and they were from the village. And I asked them, how did you get your name on the list? And one lady told me, the Punch called me and he said, go and fill the form in the Panchayat office, and she filled it. And so I asked her, did you get the 6,000? She says, no, I'm waiting for it.
So this is exactly what has happened with all those schemes also. If you remember, the late Manohar Parrikar started this scheme for old age people and stuff. I mean, there are 30,000-40,000 shadow
Yeah.
beneficiary is there.
Yeah.
And that scheme, you know, has gone all haywire.
Yeah. So to look at another story, you know, that made the headlines, so to speak, is the big decision of the government to tighten its belt because it is in dire straits financially, and the spending of the government is now in a fix because they've deferred expenditure. For, you know, recruitment is frozen, project specific borrowing is frozen till December, ban on foreign tours. I mean, they should have banned foreign tours a long time ago. Why do they even go on a foreign tour? What for? Non-essential domestic tours, and compulsory for them to travel in economy rather than, I presume they must have been traveling business class. Then the first proposal on hiring, outsourcing vehicles, and ban on purchase of furniture, electronic items, office vehicles. But on the other hand, I was talking to the finance secretary, and he was telling me how the biggest, of course, burden on the government is the wage bill. So
this is something that we were discussing in our newsroom when this story came up.
Yeah.
No austerity is going to help the government if they do not
cut
down the wage bill.
Right.
Because you have a monthly wage bill going out, whether there's money coming in or not into the government coffers.
Yeah.
And you know, there has been this, you know, unnecessary recruitments that have happened over the past 8-10 years. There is less work to do and more people there. Some sort of rationalization has to happen there. I mean, if the private sector can do it, why shouldn't the government do it?
Exactly. Now, what is the recruitment like? So, you know, I got this figure from a government officer, and he's told me that 65,000 people are employed in the government in some form or the other, whether it is even, you know, in the government PSU or whatever. But 65,000 people. Now, if you take that, you know, in relation to the state's population, we have the highest ratio. So, you know, you could almost say every household in Goa has a government servant. 65,000 people. What do they do? That's the question.
That's the question. So some sort of rationalization has to happen. I think the administrative reforms department has to pull up its socks and do some sort of reassessment of the requirements of the human resource in the government.
So the outgoing just for paying salaries of government employees is around 50 to 60 crore a month. And the government has reached the stage where, you know, its borrowings have gone really high. And the income has obviously dropped by 80%, isn't it?
80%.
That's the figure the Chief Minister
himself has said.
And that is really, I'm told, because of tourism. Tourism, excise duty, GST collections, etc., etc.
Excise is one place where the government used to make money, which it's not now. You know.
So actually, let's move on to another story that I thought was rather significant. It is the Talegaon village Panchayat Gar, which, you know, the new Sarpanch. He is new, right?
Agnello Dekuna. He is basically was Babush's personal assistant for many years.
And so one presumes that out of some kind of, you know, he has been given this post. And the first big project he decides to do is to put up a Panchayat Gar on land that was being cultivated. And so there were these, you know, a lot of
local farmers as well as activists.
Who tried to stop them from dumping mud and things, and they've taken their case even, you know, to social media. I saw these photographs that were quite disturbing, if you ask me. There was this huge dump being created there with plastic and everything, just to reclaim
the
really
fields. Yeah.
the fields.
Yeah. See, it's a very complex thing. It's something that started off in 2004.
Yes.
Okay. In Mr. Monserrat's first term as an MLA there, uh, the land was actually being acquired to set up a fish market.
I see.
It's Komdad land,
Okay.
but then the cultivation is being done by tenants,
Okay.
farmers basically.
Yeah.
So it was being acquired for fish market.
Okay.
So when this land, the tenants happened to be cultivating that land, they
Yeah.
objected to the acquisition then.
Yeah.
And there was some sort of a negotiation between those farmers who were dependent on that for their livelihood.
Okay.
Basically, they were
Yeah.
not just part-time farmers like is the trend now,
Yeah.
but they were people who depended on that farmland for
Yeah.
their livelihoods.
Yeah.
So they had some negotiations with Montserrat, and he kind of agreed to not acquire this piece of land.
Yeah.
And there was some documentation on that between the panchayat, the MLA, and these people who were cultivating that land. Suddenly, in recent years, that is 2-3 years back,
Okay.
this whole acquisition got revived.
Okay.
And without the knowledge of them,
Yeah.
without the knowledge of the interested parties,
Okay.
this land has been, the acquisition award has been issued.
Okay.
And
The acquisition award has been issued by whom exactly?
by the land acquisition officer, it must be the deputy collector or
I
whoever
see,
that
I
is.
see. And it
But
has been given to the panchayat.
to the panchayat. But there is a legal hitch there.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the interested parties, basically not the owners, but virtually the people who are in possession of that land, in legal possession of the land,
That is the farmers.
the farmers,
I see.
as well as the comunidad,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
are unaware of the award.
Okay.
They have not been paid the compensation,
Okay.
and the land has not been mutated to the government yet.
Okay,
So
okay.
so on the records,
Yeah.
on the land survey records,
Yeah.
the legal possessors of that land are still the farmers and the comunidad,
Yeah.
not the government. So it's a bit complex that way. But the bigger issue is not the land acquisition. The bigger issue is this conversion, this massive conversion of agricultural land.
Exactly.
For
That is the
non-agricultural
bigger
purposes.
issue, and also the bigger issue, as I see it, is this constant conflict between government agencies and the public and the people, literally.
Yeah.
Now, see the people who were involved in this agitation. There is, of course, a lawyer, then there is an activist, then there are 5-6 activists, there are 1 or 2 farmers. Now, these people are genuinely concerned about that place.
Exactly.
They wouldn't be out on the streets if they were not. And yet, this is at the panchayat level, and the panchayat level is supposed to be for the people, for the public.
Yes.
And it is fighting a battle against its own people.
When it is not such a necessary thing,
Exactly.
Panchayat Ghar, I
Yeah.
mean the Talegaon Panchayat is happily functioning for the
Forget
last
about
8-10
happily
years in a posh.
functioning. It is very posh,
Exactly.
I've been going there because
Exactly.
we live within that constituency. And it is a poshest panchayat. You
Yeah.
can see in Goa, it is AC all the way. It has, a conference hall. You won't see that anywhere else.
Yeah, this issue is also linked to this whole Talegaon ODP, which was notified in February,
Yeah,
which is under challenge again.
yeah,
At that last meeting or the public hearing that they were supposed to hold
yeah,
for getting a nod for the ODP was very clandestinely held. People were not given notice of it.
yeah.
So some people have challenged that ODP in the High Court, and the High Court has issued an interim order which says all permissions according to this new ODP will be subject to that High Court case.
Okay.
Okay, so this comes under the ambit of that High Court order, this
Okay.
Panchayat Ghar story.
So this is not yet. This story is not yet over
Not
because
at all, not at all.
the people who are fighting this battle, they want to see the documents to prove the acquisition has actually taken place, and they are going to put up a fight.
Yeah, it's already Xavier Almeida, one of those
Okay.
main activists behind this thing,
Yeah.
has already filed a petition in the High Court.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one will wait for that result. Now to go a bit off the bad news, we have another Goan origin politician in Portugal who is going to be part of the Portuguese cabinet, and João Leão Fernandes is to take over as a new finance minister, under the current Prime Minister of Portugal, who is also a Goan. Now that is obviously Anton Costa's own choice.
Yeah.
Do we know anything about him?
Not
actually?
really,
Okay.
not really.
Yeah.
But we'll have to dig in. We'll have to dig into his background and stuff like that.
Okay. I believe his grandfather it is, right, who was Professor Leão. I'm reading from the Herald report, Professor Leão Fernandes, whose house in Kampala along the Dainan Bandorkar road still stands. And originally from Sarzora and Salsette, Professor Leão shifted to Panjim and taught at the Liceu. Claudio, that is João Leão's father, he migrated to Portugal and he retired from government service. So on that very happy note, we say thank you and goodbye, and we hope you will join us again next week.